We're joined this morning by Ganesh Natrajan, who's Chairman GTT Data and Honeywell Automation, and also Moshe Katri, who's Managing Director, Investment Banking at Wedbush Securities. Gentlemen, thanks so much for taking the time. I do want to start with a question to you, Mr. Natrajan, because you've seen how Indian IT service providers have operated for so long, and you have a lot of context here that perhaps we don't. How difficult would it be, or challenging would it be, for a behemoth the size of Infosys and perhaps someone like a TCS to navigate what is a very fast-changing atmosphere, and would it require sacrifices to be made in the near term?
No, you're absolutely right. There will be near-term sacrifices because obviously business as usual will not prevail. And you mentioned Topaz. I mean, we've all read about TCS's big investment in data centers. So I think moving towards an AI-led model where you're helping clients to completely reimagine their businesses, re-engineer their business processes, I think all that is important. It will take, to my mind, maybe 7 to 8 quarters for this turnaround to happen. But business is there. So I think this whole panic about saying, oh, will IT services companies completely collapse is unfounded in my opinion. But it will take a bit of time. In the short term, you will see some slow growth. But in the medium term, I think it will be back to, maybe double-digit growth as we've always experienced with the IT sector.
That's an interesting take, Mr. Natrajan. Stay with us. We have Moshe Katri also. Moshe, good morning. This is Hiral on this side. How are you looking at this transition from your AI-first pilots to a sustainable revenue model for a company like Infosys? Because that's what probably they will lay down. And a lot of analysts are of the opinion that Infosys is late in the race as compared to a lot of peers like a TCS or even for that matter at HCL Tech. How are you looking at it, and what's your expectation from Infosys today?
I think the most important thing that they'll have to convey to the market is how the model is going to change. And remember, there are a couple of things that really have to happen for the industry to survive this. One, you have to move to a performance-based model. That's number one. Move away from the hourly kind of structure. The other thing that you have to do is decouple revenue from headcount growth. And I think you started to see that in the industry in general. And on top of that, we'll probably talk about, as you said, the ecosystem or the new ecosystem of AI-led services. And then, the rescaling piece. And of course, how an Infosys is actually well positioned to help with the infrastructure side of AI with data. So I think there's going to be a lot of those kind of focus areas during this really important investor day, and I kind of echo my colleague on this call in terms of the market's reaction or overreaction and the talk about the doomsday scenario for IT services.
Mr. Natrajan, the tendency in this situation, especially for the layperson, is to paint this with the same brush. And I'm glad that Moshe is describing the intricacies of this. If you could explain to my viewer, who is not necessarily as capable as the two of you in understanding the nitty-gritties or the intricacies of IT, I certainly am not. So if you can explain to us how quickly certain aspects of the IT services offering would need to change, and whether there is a resilience, so to speak, in certain pockets. How would you describe that?
That's a good question. I was explaining it over a 1 hour period to 150 CEOs yesterday in Mumbai. But let me try and do this in 1 minute. See, if you look at I think Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has articulated it extremely well. It's a 5-layer model of AI. So right at the bottom, there's energy. We don't play in that. Then it's infrastructure. That is the big LLMs, what NVIDIA does. We don't play in that, and we should not also. Then there is the data layer, which is where data centers, etc., will have a big impact. And then, of course, there's a model. Models for various applications, etc. And finally, the application layer. If you look at it historically, India has been excellent in playing the application layer because we are really the biggest application provider for global Fortune 500. So in that context, if you now bring it down to what India and IT will do, definitely data orchestration, data engineering, data conversion and analytics. That's something we've been doing for the last 10 years. So we'll continue to do that. Then building new models. So when we talk about new platforms like Topaz, or we have our own model in GTT Data, which is actually to build applications from a platform. So this will be a big area of investment for Indian IT companies. And applications don't change. As I mentioned earlier, applications will be different. And I think my colleague, the panel, I'm on panel, really rightly mentioned that, it's no longer going to be headcount based, it's going to be outcome based. So when you look at the outcome and say this application with maybe 14 agentic AI models and 3 people is going to deliver this outcome, there's enough play for us. So that's why I said, many companies, I would say about 80% of global companies have experimented with AI, they're excited about AI, but do they have a complete end-to-end strategy? No. So I think this is a big opportunity. It's an opportunity for a McKinsey and a KPMG. It's also an opportunity for an Infosys and a PCS, and an opportunity for smaller companies like GTD Data, etc. So I think we're all excited about it. We need to be very strategic and make sure that we are doing the right things in a much larger time, in a much larger canvas than we've probably done in the past as far as AI is concerned.
Mr. Natrajan, probably this was the AI moment as well, where you've actually given us a 90-minute explanation in a minute or two. So this is exactly what is going to happen to the industry as well as we look at it. But Moshe, my question to you is, as Mr. Natrajan was mentioning, it's an opportunity across, right? If you have to look at IT as a sector, between your large caps, your mid caps, and your small cap IT companies, do you think the proof of the pudding will always be with your large cap IT companies? Your mid cap and small cap IT companies will be slightly on a slow burner, when it comes to Gen AI.
So it really depends. You can't bundle all players in one bucket, if you will. Some of the small players focus on product development. Some players focus on ER&D. Some of them focus on engineering or software engineering. All these guys will have a role to play, in our view, in this kind of new environment. Now, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. When we talk about performance-based contracts, it's something that these companies have done during the past 5 years. You just have to emphasize it probably a bit more aggressively in this environment. So it's really about kind of redirecting resources, strategizing in terms of how you want to change the model and how you want to go to market. And I think this is doable for the large caps and also for the more specialized small cap names in the sector.
Point. Always a pleasure speaking to the both of you. Thank you so much for this insightful conversation, Mr. Natrajan as well as Moshe. Pleasure having you.